peachydragon.com. Happy creative stuff.
Hey, welcome to another exciting episode of Happy Creative Stuff. What we're going to look at now is we've discussed the 3D Powerpuff Girl mapping, how I map the textures on, and now we're going to look at what the different maps do and how they combine. So if I'm in 3D Studio Max and we already have all our materials applied and mapped out, let's look at the different maps you get on a material. So if I select a material and I scroll all the way to the bottom of the setup, you'll see you get these different ambient, diffuse, specular. Now I'm not going to explain all of them, I'm just going to explain the ones that I use. So diffuse is your basic color. I'll show you examples of all of these in a moment. Specular is basically it's how shiny things are, but it's similar to the gloss map. It's how a light bounces off it with a highlight. Self-illumination actually means it'll be a shining light, and displacement means it'll actually move the model. It'll move pieces of the model. I'll show you an example right now. So what you do is you set it up here, you click it on or off, select an image or a JPEG, whatever you want to use, and then you can set the value, how extreme that will be as well. And it does show you a preview on the model there. If I turn off diffuse, you can see in that little, you can actually set this to be larger. I don't know if I can do that right now, it doesn't matter. But you can set that up to show less circles and be larger. So let me show you the examples. Let's jump right into that. So starting with, oh, what did I do there? I accidentally closed the whole window. Let's just start that again. Okay, starting with this. This was a render I did with no textures and no mapping applied. It's literally just the image, just the render. There isn't even global illumination on this. Now if I go to the next one, you'll see this is still no textures, no mapping, but it is global illumination applied and you get this nice soft look to it. And now this is what happens when you add the displacement map. So what it does in Mental Ray is it actually subdivides the model a lot. You can set how fine it is, and it uses your black and white map to knock it in or out to show you what happens. Let me just show you some of the maps that I used for that to give you a better idea of how that works. So this map, let's look for displacement map. I wonder if I can find, okay, here we go. I didn't use the eyes, so you'll see the eyes don't make sense, but the mouth, that's a displacement map. So I inverted it so the white will push in. Normally when you add a displacement map modifier or you use the scanline renderer, it will only use the geometry available in the model, but when you use Mental Ray, it'll subdivide it and you get a much finer look. It's not perfect, but for what I wanted, I'm quite happy with it. This is the specular map, so it's only showing the highlights, and I made the map look, I gave it a specific look. I wanted the eyes to be quite interesting. I could have just said, here's the, it's still opening. I could have just said, here's the specular map, and I could have made the eyes perfectly shiny at all times, but I actually wanted it to have some depth. So what I did is I created a black and white map, and I made a slightly different shade for each part of the eye, so you would just get a different kind of reflection on each of them. Let's continue. This is with the self-illumination. So self-illumination is a very simple map. Let me open that up for you. Here we go. Self-illumination literally just has the two dots, which are the pupils of the eyes, because in this case they're aping anime cartoons, and in anime cartoons often you have this very bright center to the eye, which is actually a reflection from a light. Normally that's what it represents, but in this case they used it as a pupil, and I didn't want it to have shadows falling inside that, so we decided to give it some illumination. If I go to the next one, that's just the diffuse. You can see the mouth is flat, everything is very flat. And now we're going to start combining them. This is the displacement combined with the other two. So if I go back and forth, you can see here the eyes are flat. When I go to the next one, they're indented. So I just quickly pulled this into Photoshop so we can have a real A-B comparison without it flipping out. You can see there the slight difference, how it indents the mouth. You can see there's some texturing problem around the edges, but I could have fixed that. On some of the slices I put 1 pixel of flesh color there to fix it, but I thought these looked fine. You can see with the displacement map and without. Okay, let's go to the next one. That's with the specular map added, so now suddenly you can see how bright the eyes look and how shiny the belt is with and without. Then I added the self-illumination, so you can see suddenly on the eyes you don't have that shadow anymore. It's a very nice change. Okay, and this was just the alpha map. In case you need it later, I always render one out just in case. Okay, this is another angle. This is without global illumination, with global illumination, with displacement map, with specular map, I added the displacement here just for interest, but this is self-illumination with the displacement. That's only the diffuse layer, and that's the diffuse with the displacement. Let me just give me a moment to close a few of these windows. Okay, next step, adding the specular to that, then adding the self-illumination to that, and then we've got the alpha map. Okay, here's the third pose, more of a full body pose, adding global illumination, adding the displacement map, specular highlights, displacement and self-illumination, only diffuse, diffuse with displacement. You see, that's a nice change. Let me close the windows again for this one. And we've got a, okay, we just skipped ahead, hang on, let me just jump back, there we go. Okay, and we've already gone through these, so there we've got the specular highlights on the displacement map. Oh wait, that is the specular, that is the self-illumination for the center of the eye. Here we've got the alpha map. Let's move on to the next pose. This one's just the standard model. Here we've got it with indirect illumination or global illumination turned on. Here we've got the displacement map, only the specular map, self-illumination plus the displacement map, and only the diffuse. Now let me close a few and then we'll continue. Diffuse map with displacement. You can see how nicely the mouth and the tongue indents there. There we can see with the specular highlights what a difference that makes. See how suddenly the eyes and the belt really light up. Or you could just see that as like a black part of her dress, it's up to you. And then got it with the self-illumination, and that is the last bit. So in the next video I'm going to show you examples where we've got this animated, we've got it moving, it looks a bit more interesting. But first I just wanted to show you the basics of what they do. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, tell us what you think, click the like button below. Otherwise you can follow us and send us messages on our Facebook pages. We've got 2 of them, our Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, or our traditional website if you like that kind of thing.
This video is awesome. peachydragon.com. Happy creative stuff.